Your top questions on building an online business, creating products, putting a system around it, people and processes, the numbers that you need to know, speaking at live events, all of that is going to be answered in this video. Now, recently I was at the Funnel Hacking Live event, and one of the things that I did was I hosted Roundtable, and the people that paid $1,000 to come to the event that came to my roundtable, I answered all these questions. Now, it's very rare that I always get all great questions, but questions were ridiculously good. And today I'm going to take you behind the scenes to the madness and the chaos of it all. Like literally, I stood on the chair, and you'll see how that happened in a second, for like literally hours trying to crowd control and answer and shout so that the rest, my entire table could hear me. I totally lost my voice at the end of the night, and you will see why. But if you are serious in understanding how this entire thing works, I'm going to take you behind the scenes to my roundtable session at the Funnel Hacking Live event, so that you can see behind the scenes to how it is all done.
Peng Joon.
Peng Joon.
Peng Joon is here.
I want you to set your expectations high, because I will massively exceed them.
If I want to sell a product that is related to mindset and do it through live events, how would I create it? Okay, great. So here's how I would create it, okay? First of all, we must all acknowledge that mindset is not a sexy topic, okay? Even though it's the most crucial component. If this event was called the ClickFunnels Mindset Intensive, none of you would have shown up. And the reason for that is because people don't think that they need mindset. So if I'm going to create this product that is related to mindset, I first need to attach it to something, okay? What do I attach it to? It's the big three. It's health, wealth, relationships, okay? I need to attach it to a specific result and sell it based on what people want, and then deliver based on what people need, right? So if you are a fitness coach, right? You don't want to sell the mindset behind fitness, which is eating right, even though that's what people need to hear, right? You need to tell them what they want, which is, let me help you get six-pack abs so that you can look great for the summer and look good naked, right? That's what people want to hear. But when they come to your funnel, then that is when you can help them shift their mindset around fitness. Same thing with money and health and wealth. You need to show people and sell and create the product based on what they want to hear, which could be based on your vehicle. It could be Forex, it could be real estate, it could be Facebook ads, Instagram marketing. And once they get into your funnel, into your live event, then you incorporate your live event to change their mindset, their belief, and their attitude, right? So if you take a look at, say, this event, funnel hacking, notice that what Russell's constantly trying to do to change this is to change your belief system and your attitude and your mindset this entire weekend. But that's not how Funnel Hacking Live was sold, right? It is sold based upon the premise of you are one funnel away, because that's what people want to hear, right? So it's super important, the result, that's right. So if I were to create this product that is based on mindset, the thing that I would do is to attach it to the marketing message that people want to hear and have it be the backbone of my live event or my training or my course. So in other words, sell people, you've heard this before, sell people on what they want, but give them what they need. And what they need is the mindset, the belief, the attitude, the environment, the accountability, right? That's how it's done. Okay, let's see. How do I become category king? The marketing is right? But whether you're in Forex or weight loss or teeth whitening, how do you become category king and utilize live events in making that happen? Okay, so a couple of ways. Okay, the first main way is, number one, is to develop a framework. Okay, you heard Russell talk about this yesterday. The reason why he used my funnel, the content multiplier formula, as an example, is because that one framework let's just say it is a 2-comma club funnel on its own, based upon a 5-minute keynote speech that I did once in my life. Okay, so how do you create and become category king? Number one, develop a framework. Think about how many steps this framework is. 3 steps. By the way, do this right now together with me. Okay, let's make it practical. Think about your framework. 3 steps, 5 steps, 7 steps, 9 steps. Okay? I like using odd numbers. There's just this weird magical thing with odd numbers. And that is why you take a look at the best frameworks in the world. It's somehow usually 3 steps, 5 steps, right? A proprietary 5-step process. It's just a nicer ring to it. Okay? Once you have developed how many steps there are, try to give your, so number 2 is label your framework based on something that is memorable. So this could be an acronym. This could be something that rolls off your tongue really well. It could be my 3-step proprietary process on how to present, persuade, and position yourself. Present, persuade, position, right? It could be my proprietary ARC method, the attract, retain, convert method, right? ARC, right? It's like an acronym. It could be ABC, right? So label your steps, your 3-step, 5-step process. That's exactly what I did in Content Multiplier Formula, right? Now once you label it, that's step number 2. Step number 3 is to put in a logo, a graphical representation to what it is that you do, right? If you take a look at the top frameworks in the world, there is hundreds and millions of dollars of brands and businesses and thought leaders and authors that you admire and follow. Just think about that for a second, okay? Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. What framework does he use that's most memorable off the top of your head? It's this cash flow quadrant, right? ESBI, right? If you take a look at Tony Robbins, he has got this thing where it is a triangle. He calls it the triad, right? If you take a look at Jim Collins, Good to Great, he's got this one framework called the hedgehog concept, which is 3 circles. If you take a look at Abraham Maslow, what is it? It is a pyramid, right? So every single thought leader, author that you follow and admire has got this one proprietary framework that they utilize where they tell their stories over and over and over again. And everything that they do is based upon that framework. Okay? So 3 steps so far, put in graphics, a graphical representation to your framework. Which, by the way, what am I doing right now? I am creating a framework as we speak, right? So you put in a graphical representation. After that, number 4, this is so crucial. Number 4 is give it a sexy name, okay? Something that is proprietary. Okay, now, here's one thing that as a marketer to become category king, to answer this question, is you want to have this languaging and this proprietary words that you use all the time in your social media, in your work, in your book, in your live events, so that you eventually own that word. Now this is so important. Why is this the case? Here's why. If I were to come up with a product, I would never today call it something like sales funnel secret. Okay? Why is that the case? It is because as much as I love Russell, I know I will never become category king for the word sales funnel. Never. Right? I will never be able to beat Russell and ClickFunnels and the word sales funnel. Today, if you speak to any marketer, the moment you think about sales funnel, Russell Brunson and ClickFunnels can own that word. Same thing, when you think about languaging category king, if I were to ask you to think about who is the first person that comes to mind if you think about the word hustle, what do you think of? Right? Right, Gary, yeah, so in other words, If I wanted to become category king in my messaging, in my sales funnel, in my product, in my live events, I'm never going to use the word hustle as part of my marketing because I will never become category king for the word hustle, right? When Gary started using that in his languaging, in his social media, over and over and over and over again, he dominated it. Okay? When you think about the word 10x, it comes to mind. Right? Let me tell you something interesting. How many of you here follow Brandon Bouchard? Okay? I love Brandon Bouchard. Okay? 8 years ago, some of you might not know this, I attended a Brandon Bouchard event. It was called 10x Marketing. Now, why do you think Brendan doesn't run a live event today? Because he knows that there's no way he can become category king now for the word 10x, right? So it's marketing. So how do you become category king? By creating something that is proprietary and utilizing that languaging that is congruent throughout your branding, in your sales funnel, in the naming of your framework, in your live events, in your book, in your messaging on social media, right? So one of the things you call me, I'm always talking about multiplying content, right? I want to own the words multiplying content so that when people think about, oh, I want to be everywhere, be omnipresent and create all these content everywhere, oh, that's Peng Joon's strategy, content multiplier formula, right? So there's a strategy behind becoming category king. So what is it? To summarize, think about your framework. How many steps? That's step number 1. Give each step a name, something that rolls off your tongue easy. ABC, PPP, right? Put in a graphical representation, something that's visual, so that people can see your entire big picture. Okay? You take a look at all of my products, they all have a visual representation attached to it. Okay? And finally, give it a great name, which is step number 4. And because I said that all great frameworks needs to be an odd number, there needs to be a step number 5, which I'm not going to create right now. You think about that, but that's step number 5. Okay? So that's how you create. Let's give him a round of applause. So he did a live event. What's his name, sir? Tony. So Tony did a live event. We got 1,400 people to come to the live event. And the question is, how do you ascend them to the next level? How do you get them to the next level? Okay. So a great upsell, okay, is to sell people on the next problem that you created for them. Okay. Now this is so crucial because if you take a look at what most average marketers do, is this: most average marketers will either sell more or a more advanced thing of the thing that they just sold. Okay? So if you do that, your conversions will not be as good, and the reason is when somebody pays you money and if you sell them a more advanced thing, the first thing that usually comes to mind is, but I just bought this thing that you said was the most amazing thing ever. So let me go home and try to implement this thing that you sold me, because I'm not ready for the advanced thing just yet. Okay? So how do you ascend them? Whether it's from a live event, whether it's from a webinar, or whether it's your sales funnel, it is always thinking about what is the next problem that they face as a direct result of them implementing and buying this thing that I just sold them. Okay? So to give you an idea, here's how I created content multiplier formula. Right? 2 Common Club in under a year for 1 framework. So now that somebody just bought this little booklet here, which is do it yourself, you guys heard this yesterday, what is the next problem? The problem is, okay, Joon, this book is amazing, I love it, but I want the tactical stuff. I want to be able, I'm a visual person. I want to be able to watch the videos. I want a blueprint. I want the checklist. I want you to be able to give me a checklist that I can give my freelancer and have them implement it for me. Okay? I want people to give them the training videos. So the next problem is, well, let me walk you through the master class where I will hold you by the hand, show you step by step, move by move on what needs to be done every single day until it's implemented, right? Done with you. So what is the next problem of that? I deny that. The next problem is, this is great, but this still requires me to hire a graphic designer. This still requires me to get an illustrator, a video person to help me create the video orders. So what is my next upsell? It would be for $97 a month. Guess what? My team has done the heavy lifting for you. So what if we were to send you the assets, the images, the thumbnails, the quotes, where the heavy lifting is done for you, right? So I'm constantly thinking about, by the way, put this down. What is the next problem they face as the direct result of them buying this thing, right? So if you have gone through my other products, platform closing, okay? How many of you here bought platform closing? Okay, great. Okay, if you bought platform closing, notice what were my upsells? My upsell was, now that you understand how to pitch, present, and close in a way that is non-salesy and non-pushy. What's the next problem? The next problem is, well, Peng, Joon, I'm alone. People don't know me. I don't have a platform. I don't know the organizers. So how can I take this pitch and presentation that I just created and start making money with it? Well, a great way would be Facebook. What if you can take the strategies that you learned here from this book and apply it to Facebook Live and sell it on social media and Facebook, right, and Instagram, okay? So the next upsell would be, let me teach you how to pitch and present and sell on Facebook and on social media, right? So I'm constantly thinking about what is the next problem they face. So to answer this question specifically now with that in mind, it would be, so based on what you sold them, what is the next problem that they're facing, and how can I help them solve that thing? Now, because they came to a live event, so if you are selling live events, a great upsell is always, now that you have learned this, there are many angles here. One angle would be, you've learned all this information, but information alone is not enough. Okay, how many of you here are coaches or you're selling coaching? Show hands. Okay, thank you. So here's your script. Here's your pitch. Okay, one angle would be, it is said that it takes 60 days to develop the habit. What if over the next 60 days, I'm going to put you in a process, in an environment to keep you accountable, where you have me, my coaches, and my team to hold you by the hand, step by step, move by move, to have this thing that you just learned here this entire weekend and have it implemented. What if we were to meet up every 2 weeks on the Zoom call so that I can keep you accountable? Because let's face it, once you leave this room at this event, something's going to happen. You know what that is? It's called real life. How many of you here, on the show of hands, you've been to an event, it was amazing, you were inspired, you were motivated, and when you left the event, you did absolutely nothing. Show of hands. Okay? By the way, that was about 90% of everybody. What does that tell you? It tells me that you could have all of the information here this weekend, but it doesn't mean that you will do something wrong. What if I could put you in the process to keep you accountable so that you can develop this habit when it comes to what are going to hit? Real estate, to help you condition this muscle on how to spot great deals whenever you are driving around your area. What if I could help you condition this muscle on how to consistently look for properties that is a minimum of 10% below market value? If all this did was to help you buy just one property at 10% below market value, how much is that worth to you? 20,000 or 50,000? If all this did was just that, is that worth 50,000? By the way, what am I doing right now? That's called seeding. Write that word down. You want to be seeding throughout your entire event on how much it is worth if they did just this one thing that you are teaching them throughout the entire event. Okay? So in the next 60 days, I'm going to put you in this group, this accountability group, where I'm going to help you, where the goal is to help you scout first property below market value in a very conservative 10% below market value. And you know, by me saying 10%, I'm low volume here. Okay? But I want to be FTC compliant. I'm not making any claims. Okay? But 10% is a very conservative rate. So for the next 60 days, I'm going to put you in this group, keep you accountable, show you step by step, group by group, and checklists on how to spot these properties. So, which by the way, also going to be getting this. Now, what is this? This is the list of properties that is below market value that I get from brokers, from motivated sellers that is facing foreclosure, that is willing to sell and let go of the properties at 30% minimum below market value. What if I were to also include as part of my coaching program this motivated seller list that I get on a weekly basis and share this with you so that you will have what it is that I have. Now you might be wondering, Tony, why would you want to do that and share with me your motivated sellers? Well, let me tell you why. It is because I can't take on all these leads myself. There are thousands of motivated sellers, and the most I can take is 3 leads a month. So here's what I do. What I do know is sharing is inexpensive. What I do know is if I can help you close deals and invest in deals that is 30% net market value, that you would have what it is that I will have. So the first thing that you're going to get is where you go through your step. So the first thing you're going to get is a 60-day accountability group where I'm going to put you with my coaches. The second thing you're going to get is we're going to meet up on a Zoom call every 2 weeks where I'm going to be showing you how to look at properties and deals at a minimum of 10% below market value. The third thing you're going to get is my personal black book on how to find, source, and close leads at a minimum of 30% below market value sent to you every other week. Okay? Then you would have what it is that I have. That's how I do it. Right? Let's give Tony a round of applause. So by the way, before I take on the next question, how many of you can see that you can apply this regardless of what market you're in? Right? So it doesn't matter if it's real estate, whether it's fitness, whether it is make money, whether it's relationship. The next thing that you can always sell is accountability. It is always done with you. It is always, let me hold you by the hand up in this process, in this where you keep each other accountable, right? So notice my language. I wasn't selling the feature. What was the feature? Most marketers would sell the feature. The feature would be, let me put you in Facebook, right? That's the feature. Think about what is the benefit of being in that group. It's accountability, it's holding them by the hand so that they will have what it is that you have, right? Okay, the question is, what if I'm just starting out and I understand that systems and processes to get to the next level, what should I do to start implementing systems and processes and people, right? Okay, so I would like all of you write this down, or repeat after me, okay? Everyone say systems will set me free. Okay, so I love this question because when it comes to scaling, when it comes to adding an extra zero in your business, most entrepreneurs, whenever they feel stress and pressure and noise in their business, what they think? They say, oh my God, I'm feeling all this stress, pressure, noise, I need to hire more people. Okay? And the higher more people only to realize they need to start managing these people. And because they need to start managing these people, they say, let me get a manager to manage these people. And then after that, they realize they need to manage the manager. And because it's got instated, hiring people without systems and processes is a house of cards. Okay? So the path to scaling is always systems. So the question is, how do we implement systems and processes strategically? Okay. First thing all of you need to do is to do a time study on yourself. Okay. Now, what does this mean? It means that in the next 2 weeks, I have a challenge for all of you. We've not done this process before. Do I have permission to challenge you guys? Yes? Okay, great. Okay, here's the challenge. For the next 2 weeks, after Product 95, you're going to do a time study on how you spend time. Okay? So that means, as you're going through your day, if in the first 15 minutes you realize you're checking your email, just right now, check email. If you're watching Netflix and chill, you write Netflix and chill. Okay? So you'll write down your time spent on your daily activities. Okay? Now, after once you do that, whether it's work, personal, business, whatever it may be, okay? The first thing you will realize is this, is you are spending a ton of time doing things that is totally unproductive. And you will realize that your time spent doing actual work, I guarantee, is usually less than 2 hours. Like real productive time with no distractions. Okay? Now what you're going to do is this, as you're going throughout your day and doing these tasks, you want to do and utilize a system such as Trello. How many of you here you use Trello? Okay? Now Trello is a free software. It doesn't necessarily need to be Trello. It could be Monday, which is owned by Google. It could be Asana. Okay? There are tons of these workflow softwares for you to track and monitor yourself. Okay? Now, why do you want to do this? It is because systems will set you free, and then hiring without a process is out. So how do you scale? You scale your systems and processes and checklists first before hiring. So in order to do that, when you are looking down and noticing these processes on Monday or Asana or Trello, you are going to color code them. And you're going to color code them based on whether the task you are doing is strategic or tactical. Okay? In your business, there are only 2 types of work. Tactical or strategic. Okay? I want to imagine that it's kind of like you're in a huge lake and you have 2 options. You can either kick and tread water, or you can swim towards the shore. Now, what would happen if all you're doing is kicking to stay afloat? What's going to happen? You get tired, and what happens if you get tired? You drown. Okay? So what happens if you don't kick? What happens if you don't kick? You also drown. Right? Now in business, that's the tactical stuff. If you are not kicking to stay afloat, your business will drown. Now what are the tactical stuff? The tactical stuff is like chasing for an invoice. It's the customers. It's customer support. You're trying to close for a sale. What happens if you don't go out there and close sales yourself? Now what happens if you don't do customer support? You'll get a bad rap and eventually get overloaded with customer support emails and the business will drown. Right? What happens if all you do is just that? Your business will not go anywhere. So that's the tactical side of things. The strategic side of things is marketing. It's the things that you know you should be doing. So if we all start somewhere. So we all start by being a solopreneur trying to juggle all these different balls, which is fine. But we must be aware of what is taking up our time every single day. On the board, you will see all of the things that is green, which is strategic, all of the things that is red, that is tactical, and all of the things that's in between, that is yellow. Now what do you do with this? First thing you do is to create a process or a checklist for the things that you're constantly doing tactically. Why are you doing that? It's now because as you scale, you're now ready to either outsource or hire or get somebody full-time to take over the tactical thing. You see, most of the time when people want to scale and expand, processes to do so. To optimize a YouTube video, it's a 7-step process. In order to create an Instagram swipe up story, it's a 13-step process that my social media manager will do. In order to create a usability test on my webinar funnel, there are 76 things that needs to be checked. I have more than 200 different processes, and the reason why you need to create these processes is to set up a team to win. Now think about this for a second. Most of the time when people scale, and when they want to hire, here's how most leaders and entrepreneurs brief somebody in their team. They tell their team member, please make sure it's done. That's how they brief someone. Now, on the show of hands, how many of you have told someone in your team or a freelancer and you have used the words, please make sure it's done? Show of hands. Okay? Thank you. Now, if you have done that before, if let's say I didn't have a process for my usability test for my webinar funnel, which is 76 steps, and all I did was tell my team, please make sure it's done. I am assuming that my team member can act every single day and perform his or her duty purely based on memorization. How many of you would agree that's a really unfair expectation? Comments, right? Okay, thank you. So what does this mean? It means that if you don't have a process or a checklist for every single thing that you do in an organization, you are expecting your team member or your VA or your freelancer to perform out of memory and assume that they can do all 13 steps or 76 steps without fail, right? But that's an unfair advantage, unfair expectation. So we gotta understand this one thing. Okay? How many of you here, you have at least one employee or you work with freelancers? Okay, thank you. I want to remember this. Okay? And when you understand this, it will be a game changer. And it's this. Okay? It is to understand that there isn't a single person out there in your team that will ever wake up in the morning one day thinking, I wonder how I can fuck things up today. Right? Nobody. Everybody wants to win. They all want to win. And if something breaks and if something goes wrong, first question you always ask yourself is, honestly, did I put a process or a system or a checklist to this thing that I'm asking this person to do? And if you didn't, then it's on you. Okay? So how do you scale from being a solopreneur to scaling to process and systems? Number one, time study yourself. Find out and list the things that is tactical or strategic. Color code them. Look at your activity last month or the last 2 weeks and see the things that is yellow and red. The things that is yellow and red, put a system to it. Step number 4, put a system to it. A checklist and a process. Step number 5, find someone and utilize the checklist and the process that you have created that becomes part of their job description. The thing that was once tactical to you and all the red things goes into their job description, it becomes part of their onboarding process where you list out, right, that was words, their result, their responsibility, their requirement, and their role. Okay? Role, responsibility, requirement, and result. This one document and this now these 4 arms is given to them, and now there's total transparency that mentions what is required of them, what is the process to follow, what they need to do, and the result they generate. Now, you no longer need to micromanage them. They are empowered because they know what is the result that needs to be generated. They know their role. They have a checklist of things to follow. As they are in the trenches doing it, it is now on them to update this document and make it better and refine it. And eventually, you will get them to do a time study of themselves on what is tactical and strategic for them. And as is to expand the team to however many people, 20, 30 people. That is how I expanded my team that enabled me to do what it is that I do and still travel and still have a life and scale my business. Let's give Ryan a round of applause. How do I become a good public speaker? Okay? Great question. Okay? Now, public speaking has two main parts. There's the art and the science. Now, the science is the framework. It's the steps. It's the bullet points. It is the how. So, for example, perfect webinar. That's a framework. It shows you the how, it shows you the steps, and as you practice and you become better, you understand the how, which is the science. Now, when it comes to public speaking, you can practice the how that helps you improvise on the science. Now, on the other hand, what separates world class with good is the art. And the art is your personality. It is your style. It is you being you, your own unique voice, your message, how you show up, your charisma, your confidence, and this is a hard thing to practice. So when I first started out, and I was doing all these different courses, what I didn't realize is I was learning the science. And what I was doing back then is I was trying to mimic all these speakers that I saw on stage 10 years ago, trying to be them, using their words. And so yes, and I was trying to do all these things and the hand gestures and languaging. But what I didn't realize is I was just being a clone of somebody else, and I wasn't knocking down the people. So the second thing that you want to practice, which is hard, is the art. How do you practice the art, the confidence, being present, and doubling down on you and your style? First of all, this is understanding that normal is boring. Everyone repeat after me. Everyone say normal is boring. Okay? We are now in the world of infotainment. People don't want information. If you are a speaker and all you did was bring out good information, you will not have the attention. So what you want to do is to merge information with entertainment, which makes it infotainment. So how do you do that? Do that with your personality, with something that's polarizing, controversial, but understanding that in order to put yourself out there and get that attention and have people listen to you, is to get yourself out of your comfort zone and practice doing ridiculous things. Now what does that mean? Okay, here's what I mean. If you want to become a public speaker, I can tell you very honestly, 10 years ago, I was this shy, introverted kid, and I still am, right now shy, introverted. Doing what I'm doing right now requires me to flip on the switch, which is a different muscle. By the way, I'm still being myself, but I can tell you that once I go back into my room, I need to recharge, okay? So I am utilizing my battery life right now because I am an introvert trying to play an extrovert game, okay? And I can handle groups of 1,000, 5,000 people, but I can be really awkward having a lot of fun, okay? I know it's weird, but that's how it is, okay? So if you want to be good at practicing this art, the way to do it is to look at things like you watch WWE, go and watch comedians, go and watch people who are very animated in what it is that they do, and try to mimic them and see them in front of friends, practice in front of the mirror. And the reason why you would want to do that is you're practicing a lot of stuff. You're practicing tonality. Okay? If you notice that the best speakers so far in 2 days, and as well as the worst ones, I won't mention the names, but just think about which speakers did you think had good information, but because it was monotonous, you zoned out. Right? Good information, but because the infotainment, you zoned out. How many of you know what I'm talking about? Right? You can have great information, but without the tonality and the reflection. But practice your art, a couple of things, okay? Tonality and inflection. You could do this with random gibberish numbers, okay? So for example, you could be reading 1 to 10. A normal person would read it as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, right? One thing to practice is tonality and inflection. Utilizing variations in how loud or how soft. Utilizing pause. Let me give you an example. So go like this. It would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 6, 7. Right now, I could be shredded with gibberish, right? But how many of you here can see that I really believed in my numbers? Right? Like I believed it was like I was born to read out numbers. Okay? So when you are practicing art, practice tonality and inflection. Think be a bigger version of you. Okay? And the way to think about that is to, first of all, I want all you people on these words, okay? Everyone say, I am the show. I am the show. One more time, say it like a comedian. I am the show. I am the show. One more time, I am the show. I am the show. Okay, great. So, so, now why do you want to do that? Do that because when you keep saying that to yourself, when you appear on the Facebook Live, and you do a round table, when you're in front of a group of people, and when you look around that crowd, you're reminding yourself that you are the show. Okay? And you are going to play a big game. It's outside of your comfort zone. Because normal is normal. And you went in there without the energy level. And you went out there saying, good morning everybody. My name is Peng. I'm super excited to teach you about something that I believe is life-changing and namaste. Right? So nobody's going to listen to you. Be a bigger version of you about me. Okay? Charisma. Practice the thing that's uncomfortable to you. That is another practice of art. Balancing the science, which is the strategy of yours. The things that I'm learning from my webinar, that is what creates the winning combination of art and science while still maintaining your personality and congruent who you are and your messaging and to play the bigger game so that you see all of it. Right? Let's give it a round of applause. The question is, if I wanted to get 100 people into my live event at approximately $2,000, what would I do? Okay? There's a few ways to do this. Show of hands on whatever level of interest. How many of you here would like to be able to sell a live event ticket to $2,000? Okay, thank you. Okay, so there's a few ways to do it. Okay, let me explain to you what they are. Okay, the first method is to bundle it with an online course. Okay, how many of you here right now you already have an online course? Okay, thank you. Now, the first method to do it is if you already have an online course, think about bundling 1 or 2 live event tickets as part of your course that somebody's buying $2,000 or $1,000. Now, why would you want to do that? You want to do that because, first of all, it increases your perceived value of what it is that you have to offer. Okay? Everyone say perceived value. Okay, perfect. So, when you do that, instantly the conversions of your current offer online increases. Okay? Number 2, when you bundle this online course, there's the right way to do it and there's the wrong way to do it. Okay? Let me share with you what the wrong way is. The wrong way is how most marketers do it. And most marketers, the way they do it is, as part of this course, you get 2 tickets to my live event. Okay? That's the wrong way to do it. Now, why is that the wrong way to do it? It's because if you bundle your live event tickets for free as part of your live course, sell it more. Why is it an objection? Here's why. It is because they're now thinking, oh, but the court, but the event, you're telling me is in May, and I don't know if I can make it on the May. I don't know if I want to fly out to Nashville to make it for this event. Oh, this event is too far away for me to make a decision. Or this event is too soon for me to make a decision. So I don't know if I can make my money's worth now because I don't know if I can make it to this event. So now something that you do and you get out of goodwill becomes an objection. And that sucks. Okay? So that's a wrong way to do it. It's something I see many marketers do. Okay? The right way to do it is by saying this. Okay? It's all language. Okay? I want to write it down. The way you say it is, as part of this investment, I am going to waive my $2,000 tuition fee for my live event. All you need to do is to cover a small materials fee of $97. Okay? Boom! What are you doing right now? It is like, wow, I'm now getting $2,000 off to this live event, and I only pay this $97. So, even if I can't make it to this live event, I don't need to pay this $97. And in the future, if I can't make it to this live event, I will only need to pay $97 rather than retail $2,000. Okay? So this first positioning angle is how you can, number one, increase the conversion of your digital product, but at the same time get people to show up for your live event and now ascend them further to your $5,000, $10,000, $20,000. Okay? Now obviously there are many different ways to do that, but that is what I would do if I want to get people into a live event at $2,000. Bundle it with existing offer you have, but use the right language when you bundle it to get people to that. Right? How many of you like that strategy? Right? Okay, thank you. Let's give it a round of applause. How do I attract A players to join my team? Right? So when it comes to people, there are a few different things that we must understand. Okay, number one is that whoa, I did have a purpose. This is known as pattern interrupt. Write that down. Okay? One of the things that you want to be doing intentionally in your videos, in your offers, is to wake your audience up by doing pattern interrupts. Okay? So to answer your question, how do you attract A+ players? By understanding that A+ players attract A+ players. Now A+ players, they all shine to different ways, and the best way to train them, allow them to shine, is to make sure you're onboarding them the right way. And the way to onboard them is through this personality test, which is a pre-personality test known as a DISC profile. How many of you have heard of this profile? Great. Now this profiling is one of the most powerful things you can do to attract A players and make sure you're setting them up for a win. Okay? Now how does this profile enable you to attract and get the right A players and A players up? Okay? So I'm going to give you a quick crash course, another 3 minutes, on how to utilize this in different businesses where you're selling physical products, digital products, virtual businesses. Here's how. D stands for dominant, which is a person that is highly focused, will do whatever it takes, like charging bull.
If you want to go try and get food,
a person that's high D usually so different personalities. How many of you think so? How many of you here have done this?
This is
How many of you here have
falling
done
over.
this?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, great. So when you so first thing you need to do is do a personality test on yourself to see how you operate. So if you're a high D, then you understand that most high Ds, the way they communicate are things like just get it done. Right? That's how a high D communicates. And when something is not done, a high D would be like, but this is simple shit. I told you to get it done, why is it not done? Okay, that's a high D. High I's influence. I is they love being with people. High I is usually Well, it's high I's, they're good people. They tend to sugarcoat things because they want to be liked. So that's high I. High I's will recharge by having fun. Okay? High D's recharge by doing things like going to the gym. Okay, so if you're high D, because there's all these pent up energy and rage within, a great way is to go to the gym. Okay? That's right. Okay, so S. Okay, so S are people that it's called that's stable. Okay, and they like routine and predictability. Okay, so somebody that's a high S, usually these are great with support and nurturing. Okay, so the last thing you want to do is put somebody that's high S on the sales role. If you put somebody that's high S in the sales role, you're setting them up to fail. Okay? Why? It is because if you are hiring a salesperson and you want an A player, a salesperson should always be D and I as their primary factor personality. Why? Because salespeople need to be hungry. If they're not hungry, they're not going to be driven. So you need someone that's high D. At the same time, salespeople obviously need to be good at people, right? Where being with people recharges them. They like being with others, they're extroverted. Okay? So if you take somebody that is great in sales, high D and high I, and you put them in support, they will want to kill themselves every single day, right? Because now you're setting them up to fail. So the way you attract A players is first understanding what is the personality type. Okay? And then there's C. So C, they love systems, they're very meticulous, they like step by step, they love spreadsheets. Okay? If they attend a live event, nothing makes them happier than a fat textbook that is color coded. Okay? That is the C. Okay? How many of you here you are the C's? Okay? So in other words, if you are hiring a Facebook ads manager, you want this person to be high C. Why? Because they're looking at your numbers. If you are hiring an accountant, you want them to be high S and C's, right? You don't want an accountant to be high I, because your accountant is going to tell you that's high I, everything's great, and you could be in the red. And they're still unhappy and optimistic, and they're still sugarcoating things to you. Okay? So if you have a Facebook ads manager, and you want to attract a Facebook ads manager that is going to be set up to win at this role, you want to make sure that this person is high S and C. Why? Because they like checklists, they have a system, they're meticulous, they love numbers, and that's how you set them up to win. Okay? So how do you attract A players? Understand. So to summarize, how do you attract A players? Number one, understand your own personality first, so that when you understand your own personality, number two is know every single person that is in your team, they are this profile. So as part of their interview and onboarding process, when they apply for a role at my company, they are required to go through this profile. If I were to do my annual meeting with my team or to sit down in a serious discussion, I will always know the person that I'm speaking to, what is this person's this profile, right? Because as a good person scout, right? And the reason why the message is not getting across is because of your communication style that is not adapted to that person's personality type. Okay? So the way you train and attract great A players is to make sure that the role they're in is fitted to their personality type. And that's how you make sure you set them up. Okay? Let's give Jimmy here a round of applause. I have a book. How should I utilize my book, create a course? What should be the next thing that I should do if I am an author? Okay, and I have a book. How many of you here you have books? Show of hands. How many of you here you have a message within and you would like to release a book one day? Show of hands. Okay, thank you. So whether you're an author right now or whether you would like to create and release a book one day, we must always understand what is the big picture and the reason we create a book in the first place. Okay? We must know what is the outcome. Write that word down. Write down outcome of my book. Why do you want to release a book? Now let me tell you the outcome. not from the direct sale of the book. Now this is so important to understand. There are many broke authors out there, and the reason why broke authors are broke, most of them, is because they don't understand what is the outcome that they want. Now, what does this mean? It means that if you have a book, chances are it's not going to be the next Harry Potter, it's not going to be the next Rich Dad Poor Dad, it's not going to be the next 50 Shades of Grey. Okay? When you create your book, it is important to understand that it is what happens around the book that will make you money. Okay? So, what are the things around the book that will make you money? So, for example, what market do you have? Self-development, okay? So Rebecca's in self-development, personal development. We want to understand that it is the thing around the book that will make you money. So what does that mean? It means that a book can get you on radio, TV, newspaper. A book can get you high-level quality clients. A book can help you build a free plus shipping funnel. A book and what you do around the book is what makes you money, because a book is a glorified name card. Think of that as your book. When you have a book, the world looks at you differently. Okay? When you have a book, what should the next thing that you do? We'll come to that in a second. Think about how you need to understand the outcome first. Okay? When you have a book, because people look at, why would people look at you differently? Here's why. If you take a look at like the hierarchy of how society look at occupations, okay, probably one at the lowest level is a salesperson, okay. Unfortunately, there isn't a single parent out there, or in most cases, most parents out there don't look at their kids and say, son, I want you to grow up to become a salesperson, okay. In the Asian community, every Asian parent wants you to either become a lawyer or a doctor, or you're a failure, right? So in the hierarchy of status, it's usually salespeople, doctor, and somehow authors are up there with doctors, right? Somehow, because you put your thoughts onto a piece of paper, the world now looks at you as a thought leader. And now, your title is no longer real estate agent, but an author. Your title is no longer insurance agent, but financial educator. Positioning, right? A book changes your positioning when you understand outcome. Okay? Now, what do you do? What are the next steps of your book? Okay? Once you have this book out, there's so many things you can do with it. Okay? Now, in the world of marketing, there's a ton of BS. Let me share with you, first of all, what kind of BS marketers do. Okay? When the book is done, here's what they do. They put it out there, and then they label themselves as best-selling author. Okay? Now, let me ask you this. What is a best-selling author? First of all, there's such thing as a New York Times best-selling author, but there's no such thing as a best-selling author. There isn't a benchmark that says you need to have X copies sold in order to become a best-selling author. So, one of the things that many marketers do is they publish the book, and then they sell it to like a couple of people, and they call themselves a best-selling author. So one of the things that they do is they even do this. They publish like 5 books. They sell it to 5 people. Now they are a sold-out best-selling author. Okay. Some marketers, you know what they do? They take the book, they go back home, they put it on the TV sets, and then they say, as seen on TV. So there are all these different BS marketing gimmicks, which could, by the way, it's a super powerful marketing positioning strategy. Okay, that's what marketers do. But I digress. So by understanding what is the outcome of your book, if it's for positioning, if it's for branding, it straight away changes how you are seen by the public. So what are you going to do? You're going to make sure that you're using it to brand yourself. Okay? What are the next steps? Once you have this, depending depending on what your outcome is, you can use it to get high-level clients. Okay, so rather than giving up your name card, because we all know that that person is just going to chuck your name card. How many of you here, on this show of hands, you have thrown away more name cards than you have kept? Okay, thank you. How many of you here, you have thrown away every single name card that people have ever given you? Show of hands. Okay, my hand is raised. I feel bad, but seriously, like, do people really keep them in Rolex anymore? Is that even a word? Anyway, so people don't keep name cards. So it's a glorified name card. So rather than giving my name card, which people are going to throw away, guess what? It could be a high-level lead gen. It could be if I am in real estate, right? Every time I meet a client, it will be, hey Ricky, my name is Peng, and in this book, this is the 5 mistakes that most people make when it comes to investing in real estate. And whether you buy from me or not, I just want you to know what the top 5 mistakes are, so that you don't make the same mistakes most people make in real estate. Okay? Now the next time Ricky is thinking about investing in real estate, who do you think is going to think about? He's going to think about me, right? So he's going to think about him, right? So it changes your positioning. Why? Because most people don't even receive books for free. So you can utilize this book to generate high quality leads whenever you go somewhere, right? Or you could use it as a lead gen. Some of you want to do live events. One of the bonuses for signing up and coming to the live event would be to receive this book that they will get as a direct result of coming. Okay? A book, by the way, can also get you on TV. Now, if you take a look at my website, you will see that I have a lot of different media appearances, and these media appearances were all based upon the book. Guess what? All these different TV channels, which nobody watches anymore, okay, they all need to feature stuff in people, right? It's not like they're scheduled to film. Now, I'm not talking about national TV. I'm talking about local TV appearances, okay? And what if you could utilize your book and pitch it to these local TV stations to get your TV? Now, why would you want to do that? Again, it's not because people are watching TV and buying books on TV. It is for positioning. It is for you to take that recording of you being on TV and to take that screenshot that says Ricky Haggerty, best-selling author of 5 mistakes when it comes to real estate. Okay? Screenshot, guess what? Where does that go to? That goes to your webinar funnel. It goes to your website. It goes to your Facebook ads. It goes as the B-roll when running Facebook ads. Okay? So your book, the next thing that you do with your book, it is not to sell your book. It is to think about what is the outcome I want to achieve with my book. It is to help me get on radio, TV, newspaper, publicity, branding, free plus shipping. It is for me to create a course for people. So the next thing that you create could be the next thing that they need, right? So if you take a look at some of my books, some of the things that I'm doing is I lead with the free plus shipping, where I will make money front end, okay? And the thing that I will sell after is the next thing that they will need. And we talked about this just now. A great upsell that comes to a book is, now that they are reading this book, what is the thing that they need to do next? Okay? So for example, personal development. Okay? Now that you have read this book on personal development, what does the book say? What does it go? Okay, ignite your spark, find your passion. Okay? So now that you have found how to ignite your spark and your passion, what's next? Let me show you what's next. The thing that needs to happen is this. Motivation is like taking a warm shower. Okay? You feel excited, you feel motivated, you feel like you want to take on the road. And then after that, the next day, same life, same life, and guess what? Eventually single day. It is said that it takes 60 days to create a habit. Let me help you so that this becomes a norm and not something that happens once every 5 years. So if you are ready to change the quality of your life that is sustainable by changing who it is that you end up with this newfound environment, with this newfound coaching, click on the orange button below that says add to cart, and I will see you on the other side. That's how you do it. Let's give her a round of applause. 13 years old, advice for a 13-year-old, what would you do? How many of you here have kids? Okay, now you can see. A big thing that people ask all the time is, how do I like control my kid from utilizing social media, playing computer games, and using it as a tool to distract? Okay, so as a 13-year-old, if I were to go back in time, well, when I was 13, there's no social media, but if I was 13 years old today, or if I had a kid that was a teen today, I would be self-aware and ask myself, am I utilizing the internet and social media, number one, as the method and way that most people are utilizing social media, which is a tool for distraction to look at what other people are looking for. It can either be, number one, used as a distraction, like what most people use Facebook for, utilizing it to look at what other people ate for lunch, or understand TikTok. As a 13-year-old, that's how most 13-year-olds use social media, as a way of getting distracted. I don't go on Facebook to look at what my friends ate for lunch. I go on Facebook to look at ads that it's running, that it's engaging, that is profitable. The second way, as a 13-year-old, to utilize social media is utilizing it as a tool to build a business, to produce as a producer. Okay? So if I was 13 years old today, I would utilize social media as a producer. So computer games are fine to look at, not to look at what other people are playing computer games on, but to, as a streamer, to produce content for other people in that market. By the way, it doesn't matter if you're 13 years old, if you're adult, or you have kids. Just ask yourself, do I primarily spend my time as a way to look at what other people are doing, or am I a producer? And my rule is 80-20. Yes, I believe in funnel hacking. I believe in looking at what other people are doing in ads and on social media, but make sure that it's only 20% of how you spend your time. As a 13-year-old, I will limit my time. 20% should be based on looking at what other people are doing, but 80% should be based upon being a producer. Social media content, streaming, Facebook Lives, TikTok videos, and it's all cool as long as you're a producer creating the content, your own product, your message, which goes to all of you as well, but not as a tool for distraction. I would, as a 13-year-old, I would double down on being good at one thing and trying things out. The great thing about being a 13-year-old is that you can spend 10 years totally screwing up every time, and you'll only be 23 years old after that. Okay? So, time to experiment, try, fail, repeat, and just keep picking yourself up, because you can only fail when you quit. Alright, let's give a round of applause. Hey guys, before, I just want to, I'm still going to be here by the way, and I want to tell you this one story of why literally this table is going to be the last table on this. Okay? And I want to tell you this because this is a very meaningful story for me to how I show up every single day. 15 years ago, I attended my very first ever live event. Okay? And 15 years ago, when I attended this live event, I went up to the speaker, a speaker that I really looked up to, and I asked the speaker, I said, man, I respect your work, and I want to be able to ask you one question about Google Analytics. Can I have a minute? He looked at me and he said, okay, you have a minute. So I asked him this question about Google Analytics, and after I asked my question, he looked at me and he said, your one question is up, your 1 minute is up, and he walked away. Now, I don't know who I want to be in life, but I do know who I don't want to be. is that I do, I'm never going to turn up like that guy. Okay? And today, it's just one of those days. And that is why I'm going to be here asking questions and whatever, going through pictures. We are literally going to be the last table in the session. Your next thing is really just understanding the value ladder and thinking about how do I build my proprietary asset. What is a proprietary asset that will help people walk into this industry? Hey, I love this question. Okay, let me explain to you what this means. As you start making money, now everything that we will ever do in our business, okay, is, when it comes to marketing, is just about creating these new assets. I'm not going to walk you through all of them, let me just walk you through the ones that will answer your question. Okay, it means this. Now most people, whenever they
Next one
But
soon.
it is what is proprietary to the business. It's
Awesome.
the moment you
Coke?
start making money, and it's 60%,